Hello and welcome to our reviewer webinar. Thank you for joining us. My name is Kim and I'm part of the Learning and Content Management team. Now let's take a look at our agenda for today. On our agenda, we will briefly cover how to write a high quality peer review report and submit your review in Editorial Manager. We'll cover how do editors choose reviewers for a manuscript, how to claim your Scopus profile, how to add your peer review activities to your ORCID profile, how to set your reviewer preferences, what are the options for reviewers who are willing to review, and we will then look at downloading your reviewer recognition certificate. Now let's start and explore how to write a high quality peer review report. Some of our journals employ a structured peer review whereby you will receive a series of questions to make it easier for you to convey recommendations for improvements in a structured manner. Here are a list of the structured question banks for different article types. You will see one for research articles and one for review articles. Even if your journal does not make use of structured peer review, we strongly recommend considering these questions before starting to review a manuscript. For more information on how to conduct a review, please visit the elsevier.com page for reviewers, and you will find a lot of useful information here. Now let's see how to respond to a review invitation. Before you accept or decline an invitation to review, consider the following questions. Does the article match your area of expertise? Only accept if you feel like you can provide a high quality review. Do you have a potential conflict of interest? Please disclose this to the editor when you respond. Do you have the time? Reviewing can be a lot of work, so before you commit, make sure you can meet the deadline. Respond to the invitation as soon as you can, even if it is to decline. A delay in your decision slows down the review process and means more waiting for the author. If you do decline the invitation, it would be helpful if you could provide suggestions for alternative reviewers. When a journal solicits a review, reviewers like you will receive an email invitation. In this example, the invitation email has the manuscript title, abstract, and response due date, and deep links to accept or decline the invitation. If the journal requests your response within a specific time and they do not receive your response by then, the invitation will expire and the links will no longer work. You can either accept or decline the invitation by clicking on the deep link from the email, or you can log into Editorial Manager and do it. Now let's get into Editorial Manager site and explore the review submission process together. Please note that I'm going to be using our training site for this demonstration with dummy users and dummy submissions. So if you are a new user, click on the Register Now link within the journal, which is this link here. If you're already a registered user and you'd like to receive your username, you can click on the Send Login Details here. If the system finds a matching email address, you will receive an email containing your username and a link to reset your password. So once you have logged in, you will come to your main menu screen. Up here, where your name is, if you ever need to update your information, such as your institution or email address, you can click on this link here and click on Update My Information. It's not necessary to create a whole new account. So once you are in this main menu screen, I just want to point out some useful links for you as a reviewer. So here you can click on the reviewer guide, which will take us to useful step-by-step guides, and also a number of useful videos that will help you submit your review with an editorial manager. So under the reviewer assignments folder, you will see the new invitations under the new reviewer invitations folder. Under this folder, you will see the new invitations. From the action link, you can view the submission. So once we click on this folder here, you will see that it will bring you to all the invitations that you've been invited to. So you can click on the view submission, which will open the PDF. You can review this, the abstract. And once you are ready to make a decision, you can either click on the agree to review or decline to review. So for this example, we will agree to review this submission. You can see here that we've been given like a pop-up regarding AI. So to protect authors' rights and research confidential, this journal does not currently allow the use of generative AI or AI-assisted technologies such as ChatGPT or similar services for peer review. So once you've seen this, you can click on I understand. We'll go to your pending assignments. Once you're ready to make your decision, you can click on the Submit Recommendation. So now you can see that you're in the reviewer stage. So here from the drop down, you can select your recommendation for review. So these will be the options that are available to you as a reviewer. So for this example, I'm going to give a minor revision. Here is also where you can look at any reviewer instructions. So you can click here, which will provide you any step-by-step guides or recommendations for completing your review. In addition, some journals will also recommend that you give an overall rating for the submission. Now, as mentioned, many journals have compulsory questions to answer. So when completing your review, you may come across some of these asterisk red questions. So these are mandatory questions. So once we're ready to submit our responses to these, we can click on any of these boxes. So for example, after a minor revision, I believe that this manuscript could be accepted. Some journals also include manuscript ratings. So for this example, there are number of recommendations to use. So from this, once you've answered the questions, the subject address, this article is worthy of investigation, you can make your choices here. Once we scroll down to these boxes, this is where you can add your recommendations. So in this box here, this is where you can add your reviewer comments to authors. So for example, I'm just going to write testing. So any comments that you put in this box will then be sent to the author once approved by the editor. Again, if you wanted to add any comments to the editor to clarify why you've made any suggestions, you can add it also in this box here. In addition, if I scroll back up to the top, you also have the option to upload a reviewer attachment. So this can be a annotated PDF of the manuscript or a Word document with tracks changes. These files can be useful for editors in understanding why you've made that recommendation. So you also have the option there. And at the bottom here, many of our journals ask reviewers if you give permission to transfer your review if the paper is transferred to another journal. So for example, if it is rejected but suggested to be moved to another journal. So many of our journals ask you if you're happy for your information to be transferred if this scenario is met. So once you are happy that you've made your decision, you can save and submit later if you want to save and come back to the submission later, and it will appear in your pending assignments. Again, you can click on the upload reviewer attachments at the bottom of the screen, but if you are happy with your submission, you can then click on proceed. You'll see that you're sent a summary of what you have made. Again, you can click on Edit Review if you'd like to change any of your recommendations. If you're happy with your submission, you can then submit review to editorial office and click on OK. At this point, many journals will respond by emailing you a thank you message to acknowledge your review. Depending on the journal policy, you may also be able to see other reviewer feedback from your dashboard. So for example, when you go back to your main menu and select completed assignments, if you go down to this reviewer comments, you can click on that and it will highlight your decision and any other additional reviewer comments. So you can click on this highlighted section here to see what the previous reviewer has also submitted. So this is how the review process can be performed and submitted in a straightforward way using Editorial Manager. So now let's get back to the presentation to continue with the rest of our agenda. So now we're going to look at how do editors choose reviewers for a manuscript. And if you ask any editor about their main struggle, and chances are they'll mention finding reviewers. So editors have a variety of options that Editorial Manager offers to support editors to identify and evaluate, invite, retain, and reward peer reviewers. So the first one I want to discuss is the Find Reviewers using Scopus. This feature provides recommendations based on AI technology and allows editors to easily identify and evaluate reviewer candidates who have the right expertise and available for review. Researchers with potential conflicts of interest and opposed reviewers are filtered out. The remaining candidates are then ranked using specific criteria such as publication history and reviews in progress. The second option available to editors is the journal's reviewer database. This feature provides the ability to search within the journal's database for potential reviewers. And finally, setting reviewer preferences. So each editor can configure personal preferences for how search results are displayed in the reviewer candidates grid. Using this option, editors can filter reviewers based on classification, board membership, and pending reviews. So moving on now to how to claim your Scopus profile. Scopus is the primary source of author profiles. It is the only database that implements algorithmic and systematic author disambiguation. Some of the search options editors use are powered by Scopus, and so if the reviewer does not have their profile linked and updated in Scopus, they may not appear in the editor's search. The free author lookup is available to anyone. No description is needed. So you can claim your Scopus profile in 5 simple steps. So you can locate your author details page and go to the free author lookup link. You can search for your name and/or ORCID ID, and Scopus automatically creates a profile when you have 2 or more publications indexed. You can verify your author details are correct, create the Scopus account so you can request corrections if needed, and request corrections to your Scopus author profile and keep your profile up to date. For more information on Scopus profiles, please visit Scopus page, and link of which will now be posted in the chat section. So moving on to how to add your peer review activities to your ORCID profile. For these readers not familiar with ORCID, Open Researcher and Contributor ID, it is a not-for-profit cross-publisher organization that strives to enable transparent and trustworthy connections between researchers and their contributions and their affiliations. It provides a persistent digital identifier, an ORCID ID, which is owned and controlled by authors and which distinguishes authors from every other researcher. The ORCID deposit question will be part of the reviewer form in the section ORCID Reviewer Credit and will be shown when you are submitting the review comments. So moving on to how to set your reviewer preferences. You can do so via the Reviewer Hub. This allows you to proactively share when you are not available to conduct a review from 1 week up to 6 months in advance. Here are the steps listed. Use the calendar icon in the starting and ending fields to select your unavailable dates. Use the plus add another option to add multiple dates, and then the trash can to remove a previously set of unavailable date. There is a provision to set up to 5 date ranges. If the date has already passed, then it will automatically expire and be removed from the reviewer preference page. Please note that while we indicate your preferences to the editors have a final decision to send a review invitation. You can again do so via the Reviewer Hub. So this enables you to set a limit of how many reviews you'd be able to manage at any one time. So you can select from a minimum of 1 to a maximum of 5 from the drop-down available. The reviewer limits considers only the open review assignments and will not factor any open review invitations. So we'll now look at the options for reviewers who are willing to review. So given the positive results of our journey so far, we recently looked at the next step in peer review volunteering and launched the Volunteer to Review feature on our Reviewer Hub. This feature allows researchers to volunteer to review for Elsevier journals and Editorial Manager. Referees will also be able to add additional information, such as a link to the professional webpage or their motivation to review for a journal. So the editors receive a bit more context and the match between the volunteer and the journal is optimized. Just go to the Reviewer Hub volunteer page and the link of which will now be posted in the chat section. So from that link, if you find the journal of which you're interested to review, and you can complete your reviewer profile. And finally, we're looking at downloading your reviewer recognition certificate. It is a very easy process. You have to just log into the Reviewer Hub platform. On the left-hand side, you will see the option of the certificate as highlighted. You can click on the Recognize Reviewer Certificate, and we'll also have an exclusive video created on downloading the reviewer certificate, and the link of which will now be posted in the chat section now. So that brings us to the end of our webinar today. So thank you for listening. After this session, we will send you an email that will contain some useful links to the most recent webinar recordings and some short video guides that relate directly to the topic today. So please look out for that email soon. So thank you for joining us. See you next time.